A 40-year male presented with bilateral flank pain radiating to groin since 1 month. This pain is continuous dull aching and with no aggravating or relieving factors, relieved by analgesics. Associated with fever, intermittent fever, low grade, and not associated with any chills. No complaints of vomiting, but he had backache and constipation, along with loss of appetite and weight.
Yeah, so Priyanku, at this point, what all are you thinking of?
Yes, sir. 40-year-old patient having bilateral flank pain.
Do not repeat
chiefly.
the history. We have all seen the history. Please do not repeat history and waste everybody's time.
Yes.
You were asked, what all are you?
So I would like to think of bilateral perineal stone disease, bilateral Puget obstruction leading to hydronephrosis, bilateral hydroureteronephrosis resulting from bladder outlet obstruction. Then
you said bilateral, bladder outlet obstruction. Why does it lead to bilateral flank pain?
So bladder outlet obstruction can lead to back pressure changes on both sides, on both the ureters and up to the kidney, which can lead to bilateral hydronephrosis and lead to pain.
So how many cases like that you have seen? Bladder outlet obstruction presenting with bilateral flank pain. Is it your imagination or it is something described? Where does the patient will have pain in a patient with bladder outlet obstruction with bilateral?
You have primary features of lower tract symptoms, sir.
Yeah. So just don't imagine that all hydronephrosis cause pain.
Okay, sir.
No. The patient.
Yes, sorry, Prabhu. Carry on.
The patient with reflux, which is from birth, do you think the patient will have flank pain all the time? No.
No, sir.
Puget obstruction is the patient presents with intermittent pain. It's not a constant pain. I mean, this is all congenital. Most of the time you find it incidentally being diagnosed. So your height of imagination is a patient presenting with bladder outlet obstruction, having bilateral flank pain. You are imagining it's due to obstruction, due to bladder outlet obstruction. No. Okay. Unless there is some complication. There is perinephric urinoma, or there is a bilateral UTI, pyelonephritis, something like that.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, Priyanku, so when the examiner stops you like that, you have to you are allowed to backtrack. So if I was there, I would say, I agree, I will not keep bladder outlet obstruction as a pathology.
Okay, sir.
Now, what class of diseases does all this history point to?
It points to inflammatory causes of pathology. Inflammatory pathology.
You haven't told us any of the commoner inflammatory pathologies that can affect other than stone disease per se. Stone disease by itself does not cause so much of inflammation and bilateral flank pain. What needs to happen in stone disease? If you were to operate on this kidney, would you expect for stone, if you were to operate on a kidney for stone with this history, what would you expect when you went in? Okay, so we will let that answer be. I'm sure the other boys will be able to answer, but we will let that answer be. Now you tell me the other inflammatory pathologies that you can think of which can affect both sides of the kidney.
Sir, genitourinary tuberculosis can be. A history of loss of weight is there. So
You continue the differential diagnosis. Don't give a long pause.
So Priyanku, we are all used to waiting for an approval from the examiner, but please believe me, all examiners are being trained to become expressionless. You will not get a response. So don't look at examiners. I mean, look them in the eye, but don't expect a response from them. They will keep looking at you. So you think of your answer and you rattle it off at one go.
Now added to that, all of them are wearing masks, so you can't see the expression also.
Pyelonephritis affecting both the kidneys.
Pyelonephritis is a very broad term. Priyanku,
Yes, sir.
आज के वो warm up करके नहीं आया क्या? Not able to bat at all? You mean a bilateral acute pyelonephritis?
Yes, sir.
Okay, again, we will let that be. I don't accept that answer, but we will let that be. Now, leave aside pyelonephritis. What are the other inflammatory pathologies that you know?
Sir, retroperitoneal fibrosis can also lead to dull aching pain. Bilateral, I can present with bilateral dull aching pain with the above given symptoms and signs, sir. Given symptoms. And
now we have accepted 3 of your answers. One is bilateral stone disease, one is genitourinary tuberculosis, one is retroperitoneal fibrosis. We won't go into any of the others, but would you like to say which of these is most likely in this patient? There is no right and wrong. You just give us your opinion and then we proceed.
Sir, among these 3, I would like to keep genitourinary tuberculosis as a first possibility.
Okay.
Which,
Yeah, so like I said, there is no right or wrong, and I would also have kept this as first, but GUTB usually affects one side at a time.
yes.
For some strange reason. Okay, go ahead.
So, no positive history, sir.
No what history?
So no positive history of stone, hematuria, or any.
Don't use those terms. Say no history of stone. I
Okay.
heard it as no postural history.
Oh. Okay, sir.
Morning, sir. So, Kamal,
Yes, sir.
if there is a slide like this, you just leave it on. No need to, there is no compulsion to talk all the time. The slide is there, everybody will see it.
He has to see.
History of analgesic use is there.
Is that important or it is just a passing comment?
It is important, sir. In retroperitoneal fibrosis, it is typical of relief of pain by use of specific analgesics. So,
You see, it says no history of usage of drugs other than analgesics. Right? What is the question you'd like to ask here?
I would like to ask if the patient.
You are the patient. Patient is
Yeah,
giving you history. What would you want to ask?
I would like to ask him if he can specify the analgesic that he had taken,
And
name of the analgesic,
and
and any other
no,
factors that.
stick to analgesic and the name of the drug and you want to know the duration.
Effect on the pain.
No, you want to know the duration because it's only long-term analgesic use which causes renal complications. And you also want to know why is he taking analgesics? Is it just sporadic for some headache or this or that? Or does he have a painful or inflammatory condition for which his doctor has said, no, you have to take analgesics, don't stop. Okay, so don't take this at face value. Okay, move on. See, whether they ask you in the exam or not, this is very important in your practice. Some analgesic, I don't know, she doesn't know, he doesn't know. Won't work. Yeah, let's move on. Manish,
Yes, sir.
No positive. Finding some.
no guarding and rigidity or no guarding or rigidity. Can you have one without the other?
Yes, sir.
So see, the slides come to whoever. Edit those slides before you put them on, and please don't use all capitals. Use running script. It's easier to read. Okay. Now, why have you asked for paid edema? Why have you looked for it? Priyanka, why do you think they looked for it?
Sorry, sir.
Sorry?
No, I didn't hear you for a moment, sir.
Why have they specifically mentioned no pedal edema? If there was, what is the significance?
Yes, sir. Sir, if in this case we are suspecting one of the cause to be retroperitoneal fibrosis, which can occur due to
कहाँ से कहाँ जा रहे हो यार? Stick to urology and stick to kidney ureter bladder.
Yes, sir. Sir, any compression on the lower within the retroperitoneum on the veins can cause pedal edema, and other than
You have
that,
to come closer to your mic. We can't hear you.
features. If the patient is having CRF or raised
We can't hear you, Priyanku.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hello?
One, yes, if he's got renal failure. What could be the
Yes,
other causes for failure?
If he's got renal failure, and other factor is if there is some mass which is compressing upon the veins, sir.
Some venous compression. That's again rare. You think of more common things which cause speed bleeding. One of your diagnoses was genitourinary tuberculosis. Correct?
Yes.
What is a common association of tuberculosis? Poor nutrition. They go hand in hand, isn't it? Priyanku, you
Yes,
have
sir.
to answer yes or no, agree, don't agree. You can't keep quiet.
Yes, sir.
So that could be one reason.
Yes.
Any other reason? So here again in history, it's important to note if there is unilateral edema.
Yes.
Bilateral pedal edema is serious, but less serious than unilateral. In tuberculosis, can lymph node enlargement cause platelet?
In that case, it would be unilateral, sir.
No, if he's got extensive disease, nodes on both sides in the pelvis may be compressed.
Yes, sir. Both sides can cause bilateral.
Okay, let's move on. A guarding rigidity. Can you have one without the other?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by that? Can you explain?
Yes, sir.
When will you have
Guarding
only
is
guarding? When will you have only rigidity?
yes. Guarding and rigidity. One is both are seen. Can be seen in abdominal pathology, sir,
Yanko,
as a whole.
You
So
have
guarding
to
is
count
what the
aloud.
patient.
Can't hear you.
Rigidity, both of them are what seen in abdominal pathology. One of them guarding is
Yeah,
one.
don't go into philosophy.
So
Can they
guarding.
without rigidity? Can
Yes,
there be rigidity without guarding?
Yes, sir.
So
The
tell me,
guarding,
where is guarding without rigidity.
Guarding without rigidity is when the patient voluntarily contracts his abdominal muscles. It can be due
Yeah,
to
they know what guarding
apprehension.
is. In which conditions will only guarding be present? There may be no rigidity.
So when there is no significant abdominal pathology, patient can voluntarily.
Again, this is a statement from some minister. Guarding is indicative of a visceral inflammation or some viscous in that area. Rigidity means there is a general peritoneal inflammation.
Yes.
You get it? So if there is rigidity, you don't dig around to see whether there is guarding. The abdomen is already rigid. The muscles are all contracted.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Am I right, Manish?
Yes, sir.
So what do you mean penis is normal? What could they mean? Yeah, Anand is here. We'll ask Anand. Anand, what are the components of a normal penis?
The penile shaft and the meatus are what are examined on local genital examination. So if they have normal findings, maybe that's why it's mentioned as
in your
normal.
history in the exam, please don't write normal penis.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
You will write in an adult, you will write that the skin over the penis is normal, the shaft is normal, the prepuce can be retracted, not retracted, whatever. There is no change, or there is this change in the glans. Meatus visible, not visible, caliber appears normal or appears abnormal.
Yes.
Only then the penis is normal. The examiners want to hear these words from you.
Yes, sir.
Somebody has got a carcinoma penis underneath the preputial skin. From outside, it will appear normal. This is to show the examiner that you actually retracted, you have seen, and you know. Yeah, let's move on.
Yes. Counts 12,600.
Now we can read the numbers. What you have to tell us line by line is whether it is normal or abnormal. See, even in the exam, if you say there is something with leukocytosis or lymphocyte predominance, That's enough. You don't have to give the figures. If they ask you, you can tell them it is this much. First line,
Hemoglobin is less than normal. It's 11.4.
yeah, so it is below normal.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Next.
total count is increased with neutrophil percent 82%. Neutrophilia is there.
Leukocytosis with neutrophilia.
Neutrophilia.
Yeah. Third,
Peripheral smear appears is given as normal.
no, it's not
ESR is
normal.
no immature forms are seen.
When do you get immature forms? Of what cells can you find immature forms on peripheral smear? We'll omit it because it's not a urological discussion. So, but read up.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
ESR is raised 30
What
millimeter.
about before that?
Platelet count is normal. Platelet is normal.
Where do you say it's normal? What's the normal range?
The more than 1.5 lakhs to 4 lakhs per cubic millimeters.
It depends on the reference value of that laboratory. Huh? So sometimes yes, 4, others use 3.5. So you can look up, ask what is the reference value in your
Yes.
lab. Okay.
Yes.
Next.
ESR is raised 30 millimeter.
Okay.
CRP is also raised. It's 13.8 milligram per liter.
Why do you want to do CRP?
CRP, it is indicative of any.
No. In this case, why do you think they did CRP?
Sir, we are suspecting an inflammatory cause here, sir.
It will be there. So what will CRP tell you?
If there is any acute inflammatory pathology present in
Arey bhaiya, the hathi is standing in front of you. Correct?
yes, sir.
You want to feel its trunk to say it is hathi. So don't get distracted and put all this rubbish in your case presentation. CRP is indicated only in certain acute inflammatory conditions pertaining to certain disorders,
Yes.
not to everybody. Otherwise, some physician will jump after the CRP and won't let you manage the patient. Okay. You already got evidence in the form of leukocytosis and neutrophilia. You know there is inflammation. CRP won't add. Okay.
You should be asking your
Many people do the CRPs now as a routine and use it as a follow-up of patients who had inflammation, especially physicians. When A, they are not in doubt, or B, if they are trying to follow up a patient who has had already some treatment post-infection and trying to see whether it goes down. I think these are some of the newer things that some of the ICU physicians or people who are involved in are doing. So it's probably an overkill investigation at this point.
It has.
Priyanku, sir, you had differentials of pyelonephritis and stone, but why is the urine is normal? So are we still in the line of your differential diagnosis, or you think why is the urine normal here?
Sorry, if there is obstruction to the urine flow,
If there is obstruction also, WBCs can leak, RBCs can leak.
yes.
Think logically. Okay, this is not a trap question. This is a usual question. Can you get normal urine on examination in patients with pyelonephritis? Dr. Ganesh has been saying this, I think, for the last 2 sessions.
Yes.
A lot of things depend on how, when, how, and where the urine is collected.
Yes.
If you still have a doubt about pyelonephritis, you collect another sample and see.
Yes.
But there is something which is already strengthening the belief that there might be no inflammation in the urinary tract or infection in the urinary tract. What is that? Some test done here. I'll throw this open to all the residents. If you do a gram steer, you do a gram smear instead of AFB on a patient's urine which is steaming with mycobacteria, what will the appearance be? Will they stain neutral? Will they be staining eosinophilic or basophilic?
Yeah.
Read that up. Interesting.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Next time, please, Priyanku.
Yes, sir. Yeah, urine culture, insignificant bacteriuria.
Okay.
And, RBS is increased.
Why do you say so?
Just above border, and so 140,
1 milligram.
more or less.
So what will you do to ascertain whether this is a clinically, medically significant increase or it's just one of those things?
Significant, sir.
No, how will you want to know, you're curious, is this guy a diabetic or not?
Yes, sir.
So how will you find out?
So we need to do a fasting sugar.
Fasting sugar? Because that is the test which determines which category the patient goes into.
Yes, sir.
Come on, move on, man.
Electrolytes.
Okay. Normal. Don't read the figure.
Yes.
Sodium, potassium, calcium, normal. Okay.
Yes. Liver function test is almost normal. SGPT is slightly increased, 44.
Almost normal. What about SGOT?
SGOT 26, it's normal, sir. SGPT is slightly increased.
What about
40.
ANP?
It's
One small theoretical question for learning. When will you consider, not the value, when will you consider a mildly elevated, let us say 1.5 times elevated AST or ALT as requiring further investigation?
if the patient is having history of some known history of some chronic liver pathology,
how will he give you chronic liver pathology? He doesn't know. See, either if there is a medical history of chronic liver disease,
Yeah.
or if the bilirubin is elevated, or clinically you find jaundice.
Yes.
Okay? Otherwise, isolated elevations may also be due to some medicines he is taking.
Yes.
Most of these patients are on certain antibiotics, and this fellow probably would have been treated for it by. And one of the common drugs used today appears to be augmentin.
Yeah.
That does cause liver dysfunction, apart from in some patients significant nausea and vomiting. So you must be aware of. I think the first thing to blame is medications. Don't look for anything else beyond. Look at all the side effects of drugs which patients are taking, especially multi-pharmacy, polypharmacy as they call it. You may only see the patient for a urological problem, but he may already be taking drugs for all sorts of other things. Okay, so must be very careful of drug history today.
Including all these tonic pills and immune boosters and Ayurvedics.
You see, one of the things that's happening is that when the patient comes to a urologist, the urologist is coned down only to see his kidney, ureter, bladder, penis, testis. When he goes to the cardiologist, the fellow doesn't look beyond the four chambers, the heart and the valves. So the whole patient is not actually looked at completely. And he may go for a cardiac illness or something because he's got some other problem, some drugs. So we have to be sure as to what's happening here. And it becomes very important for us to also be limited physicians in our role as urologists. Carry on.
Comment, man.
Yeah. Sir, this is an X-ray QB of the patient with inadequate exposure. Swas shadows cannot be visualized.
Is this a KUB X-ray?
So,
This is Dr. Prabhu's favorite question.
it's it looks
What
more
is
like
the extent of exposure required? Extent of exposure required for a correct KUB?
it should be up to the upper third of the femur, sir. So which is not visible here.
So what about the upper end? There are two ends, isn't it? What's the upper limit? What is the lower limit?
It should be from T12 to the upper third of
The
the.
kidney has already started.
Yeah.
It is T8 to the lower border of the pelvis, true pelvis. Okay?
Yes.
Some people take the lower border of the pubic symphysis, which is also okay,
Yes.
not too far. But going down to the femur is exposing his testis to radiation.
Yes. Sir.
Do you think this is a conventional KUB X-ray?
No. No, sir.
Why?
First is because of the inadequate length of extent of exposure. Then
No, forget that. That's over and done with. Looking at what image there is, it is 90% complete. Do you think this is a normal, conventional, plain film KUB?
yeah,
What all must you see in a KUB X-ray?
sir, psoas shadows, then renal shadows has to be visible in a normal QB.
CNM shadows plus or minus. Always begin with the skeleton because that's more characteristic
Yeah, the
and
tips
shows
are
up better.
the vertebra along with the tips of the vertebral process should be properly delineated. The renal shadows should be visible. The Schwarz shadows should be visible.
Can you see the vertebra clearly? Can you see the articular surfaces, the lateral body?
No, sir. In the
cannot.
L1 to vertebra
What
cannot
they
be
have
seen.
done is the scanogram of the CECT has been, or whatever CT, has been framed as KUB. Please don't do it in your
Yes.
practice, and please be careful when interpreting these. Okay.
Yes.
I have a doubt. Suddenly came to me. Is KUB done standing or lying down? Anybody can answer this.
Sir, it's done in supine position, sir, lying.
Supine.
Why supine? Standing is so much more convenient. They have done a chest X-ray. Just move the tube and this cassette down and do the KUB. Think about all this, okay? These are small things,
Yes.
but in your practice, they are very important. And what is the minimum quality and kV of the machine which is required for a KUB?
Okay.
These technical details will help you.
Yes, sir.
If I come as examiner, I'll ask you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, positive findings in the X-ray. Moment.
Kamal is hungry.
Sir, there is a radio opaque shadow in the right renal area, sir.
What is the shadow like?
It is.
It's a very interesting shadow.
Yes, sir.
In the days before CT and ultrasound, something like this would give us endless headaches.
Can you magnify this? No. You just magnify this image a bit. You'll be able to see things better. Can you zoom on it?
Yes, sir, President.
Just zoom a bit.
That is the reason why it is.
Okay, right.
Interesting.
Now can you see something or just a radio opaque shadow?
Or is it only one radio opaque shadow?
Two shadows. So there are two radio opaque shadows, one just above the other, small shadow above the other. And there is in the larger shadow, sir, there is a radiolucent halo in the center, sir, inside.
Very good.
So you should describe it in relation to the vertebral region, the size, position. Can it be something else? You are thinking it only in terms of the renal stones. Can it be anything else?
It can be gallstone also, sir.
If you look at it, you can actually see the gallbladder outlined there, just below the liver.
Yes.
Above the colon, below the liver. So we have to be aware of this. How many renal stones have we seen with central lucency?
Are there other urological conditions which have a central lucency?
What does central lucency tell you?
So, but then density of the stone is relatively less, so that can give a central
See,
lucency.
that is overall. If you have a central lucency, it has one definite meaning. What is the implication of that central lucency? What does it mean? If you compare the lucency with the bubble gas shadows, the attenuation value is the same as the bubble gas shadows. So what is the lucency?
So,
Maybe you folks didn't go through all this in your MS at all. There's a lovely picture in Bailey and Love.
okay, sir.
Read it, open it, read it, and read the description. Central lucency means air or gas within the stone,
Yes, sir.
right? So, Dr. Ganesh's question now. Which other urological pathology produces central lucency?
That's true. That's true. That's true.
This density looks like a ring, isn't it? It's like a ring, isn't it?
Ring.
Yes.
Sir.
So what is it that produces the ring shadow? The ring also has got lucency in it. It's not ordinary ring, it's got a hole in it.
Yes, yes.
In that location, what other structures can be there which will give rise to this sort of a shadow? Considering you are thinking that this patient has an infective pathology.
So calcified lymph node can.
Calcified lymph node. See the location of that?
It is so lateral, you don't find lymph nodes.
Lateral. Yes, sir.
No, not system. Yeah.
I think some of us are becoming relics. Only we remember all this,
Scope the patient.
or know about all this.
Yeah, scope the patient. We didn't show, there were no contrast images sent.
How will I end on
It did not
calcified artery look?
showed something that kept all the important pictures with them.
End on, sir. Okay.
See what these fellows do.
Right.
They must get the
Yes, sir. End on gets.
people to see whether
Look like this.
you will be able to feel this one.
So if you find this kind of a calcification in somebody who's got borderline
So you
hypertension,
may have a diverticulum there.
then what will you think of?
That looks as if there's something.
Borderline, sir.
Hypertension.
The contrast
He had a BP of some 140 something.
Yes, sir. Yes, atrius.
Serinium biopsy.
It can be due to atherosclerotic atherosclerosis.
Can be. They have to find out whether it is due to renal artery pathology.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a little too wide to be the renal artery.
What's the PSA?
Still possible. It could be a calcified AV malformation.
You must have a biopsy.
Yes, sir.
But let's get back to the main. KUV work pending for several months now.
Infection like this. That's why you open and see because a lot of necrosis and all that.
Kamal,
But biopsy, we could still have a
move. Go back to the presentation. Anything in the chest X-ray?
Sir, chest X-ray appears to be normal with slightly prominent bronchovascular markings.
Where will you look for bronchovascular markings?
So around the both the hilum, sir.
No, you will look for them in the periphery.
Okay, sir.
Because in the hilum, everything is big.
Yes, sir.
But there is
Periphery.
something there. Something on the right side and definitely something on the left side. Can you see that well-rounded opacity looking like somebody's face at the hilum on the right side?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, come down. Yeah. Can you see that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And on the left, can you see that line, linear opacity going somewhere starting around the 8th rib and going up to the 2nd rib?
Yes, sir.
These are all abnormalities. What they are,
Yes.
you can determine. Can't say chest X-ray is normal.
Okay, sir.
And there is something else also right on top of the cardiac shadow. Come to the left. Left of the cardiac shadow. Yeah, there.
Yes, sir.
What is that? Keep it on the shadow, please. Yeah, just leave it there. Again, it looks like the profile of someone's face, but there is something there.
Sir.
It could be
Can it be
a
lymph
prominent
nodes?
aortic knuckle, or
That is-
it could be a lymph node. The
Lymph
shape
nodes.
is of a lymph node. Can you see? It's
Yes.
oblong, vertically aligned in axis. And quite a big one is that. If it's a lymph node.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Moderate right hydronephrosis and minimal left hydronephrosis.
Good if you can describe side by side. Say right side, these are the findings, left side, these are the findings.
Understand. On the right side, we have finding of hydroureteronephrosis with narrowing at the level of mid-ureter. On the left side, it is
Not
given
just
as
narrowing, there's something else.
thickening, mid-ureter thickening and narrowing.
Where does it say mid-ureter? Oh yeah, right, okay.
And on the left side, it is minimal hydronephrosis only. Sir.
Do we have the images?
Images.
Ultrasound images are not there, sir.
Not there, okay. So what should we do now?
We need to.
I don't need to. You need to.
Yes, sir. CT urography, sir.
Why CT urography? And why only CT urography?
Just say CT scan with contrast and abdomen pelvis, something like that. Again, don't be so focused that you'll only look at the ureter and the bladder.
Yes.
In a patient with this ultrasound finding and all that, and with all this history, you need to look at the whole abdomen, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So just be non-committal and say I want a CT of the abdomen.
CT of the abdomen with urology.
If his creatinine is normal, you say, okay, with contrast. If it's not normal, then you decide what image is best imaging that's going to give you the answer to this patient's problem. If it has to be an MRI, have an MRI.
Second film, anything interesting? Top row, second film.
Yes, the radio dense shadow seen the gallbladder within the gallbladder, sir.
So now you get the point.
Yes, sir.
Not everything there is a renal stone.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In the upper two films, these are plain images showing the hydronephrosis of both the kidneys.
Again, if you go kidney by kidney,
Yes.
life will be easier for you.
Yes, sir.
Or side by side. One side first, the other side next. If the examiner hustles you and says, what about the other kidney? Sir, I'll come to that. I'll finish this and come to that.
Okay, sir. So on the right side, the top images are plain images where the right kidney appears to have regular outline, a normal parenchyma with hydronephrosis, sir. On the left side, also the kidney appears to have normal outline with normal parenchyma and hydronephrosis.
Is there any difference in the parenchymal thickness between the two sides?
Sir,
See all the films and then you're allowed to make a comment.
Best thing, run through the sequence. Where are the other axial films here? This is from Puttaparthi, is it?
yes, sir.
You give them a rap on the knuckle. You've been saying, load the axial films, at least, a few sections until they reach the pelvis. It's going to be of no use. They're not labeled anything.
Sagittal images.
What is this? You see.
Sir, this is on the left side we have a sagittal image where you can see the right ureter, which is having a beaded appearance.
Only the ureter?
And the pelvis is visible, sir.
What
Part of the-
immediately after the pelvis? Immediately after the pelvis? I don't show pointers, you're showing the wrong ones.
Yes, sir, there appears to be a constriction at the pelvic retreat.
So there is a beaded appearance with the first constriction appearing at the pelvic ureter junction,
Fusion. Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
I won't hazard anything beyond this, though there is plenty speculative. Next,
Yeah. The right side of the image. These
move
are-
on, guys. These images are inadequate. No point discussing them.
Yeah, very. You should have had the axial cuts in toto. If this is a diagnosis, we need to see everything. because these multiple areas of constriction and narrowing and dilatation in the ureter on the right side, one doesn't actually see an RPF at this point. Unless that's so it's important to know where the plaque is extending. If there is a plaque in someone, so
When we don't see the distal ureter at all in whatever they've shown us.
anyway, this is RPF is what the radiologist is saying.
Yes.
What is the classical picture of RPF in a CT scan?
I won't buy this so easily.
What's the picture of RPF? Classical picture of RPF on a CT scan.
Sir, soft tissue mass that can be seen around the aorta with pulling of the aorta, pulling
On
of
the aorta? What
around
is
the
the upper extent?
Aorta, man.
aortic bifurcation, sir, and pulling of one or both the ureters towards to the medial side at around the L3
But
L4 level.
where is this plaque actually? But what vertebral level is it usually seen? At what vertebral level is your waist normally? That is why it is called a waist band constriction.
L4,
Band
sir.
constriction.
L4, sir.
Imagine a woman with a good figure. That's how it will be. Waistband constriction.
Yes, sir. L4 level, sir.
If there is a bony landmark and it extends right over the upper half of the sacrum. And that's why when you do surgery of this nature, you will find that everything is plastered down at that level. As the ureter goes down into the pelvis,
Yes.
where it starts to get caught, and then this plaque extends up. And depending on the type of RPF that we are dealing with, this can extend right into the renal hilum. And in all the pelvis, the classical RPF is a waistband broad area, but variants are there, various types of fibromatoses are there, which can actually give rise to a different picture. It's usually above the aorta, encircling the aorta sometimes, and in some conditions
Yes.
actually lifts the aorta. So it's not, it's a very definite entity which is seen on the CT scan. Nevertheless, sometimes you may not see the plaque, and it depends on how acute or chronic the inflammation is and how much of cellular structure there is in that plaque.
Yes.
And that is why people are doing an FDG PET in addition, or an MRI, because MRI gives you better soft tissue delineation.
Soft tissue.
And
Yes, sir.
an FDG plaque also has been shown. I think we've discussed this sometime earlier in a class like this, where there was an article in the EAU journal, European Urology, and some other journals have come up nicely with the role of FDG PET in these patients. So,
Venki made a presentation.
yeah, so don't forget it.
Yes.
So can we continue next week? We have to hand over the library.
Only the library, nothing else you have to hand over, Manish.
Only library, sir.
Very good, for the moment. Okay, next week, can you get some better images for this patient, Ben?
Okay, sir.
Just
Kamal,
Sir, I will try, sir.
tell them we want all the X-ray images available.
yeah,
Right, Kamal?
Yes, sir.
right. Okay.
Giving these to you. Okay, folks, then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Meet next week. Take care. Stay safe.